Hey everybody. I'll let everybody come in real quick while I just do the get ready for the podcast. Everybody, this is William Murillo with the Just Call It podcast. We are here live today with two different live situations. We are here live with the YouTube live, and we are here also with the live from Instagram. So just so you guys know, before we get into the poetry, please know that hey, we got the podcast here on on Spotify. We have it here on Apple. We also have the podcast here on YouTube. The podcast is also shared on Instagram. The podcast is also shared on TikTok. But if you want to get the full scope of the podcast, please subscribe to Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts or YouTube to get every episode you possibly can. Bad connection for a second on the Instagram, but today we're sharing a few minutes about poetry. Poetry to me is a very powerful thing that a lot of people can feel when you speak the spoken word of poetry. Poetry comes from the heart, it comes from the soul, it comes from a lot of hate, it comes from a lot of joy, it comes from a lot of love, especially. Today I wanted to bring a little bit of my poetry and just kind of just talk a little bit about things. Now, I think to me, one of the biggest things that people say to everyone is, you don't understand. When people say you don't understand, sometimes they themselves don't understand what they're trying to say. We just feel frustrated at that moment, and nobody we feel truly understands us. We don't feel understood. We don't feel loved or appreciated. When we tell people they don't understand, it's as if we are blind telling them they don't understand. When someone tells you they don't understand, it's a rehearsed type of thing. It's as if your stories like this have been retold years after years to parents, from spouses to friends. When you tell people you don't understand me, is as if that person doesn't truly understand themselves. The hardest thing in life is to be understood. But the biggest concept of being understood is truly you understanding your own self. When you understand your own self, you understand the feelings and emotions you go through. It has some significance after the repercussions, you know? When you feel as if no one understands you, you isolate yourself. You isolate yourself from what could potentially be helpful for you. When you isolate yourself from the ones that you love, it's hard to recover that understanding from them. You damage your relationships. When you tell people they don't understand you, you also don't understand what you're telling them. The circumstances of telling people they don't understand you is repercussions that are far unknown. Sometimes at that very moment, when you tell somebody they don't understand you or they don't feel you in any way, you're totally dismissing that person from being able to help you. Now, if you're this person that feels that you're not telling somebody something about you that you need to tell them, you have to reach out to that individual because they once reached out to you to be able to understand you, to be able to understand who you are. So next time you go around telling somebody that they don't understand you, or you'll never understand me, or will never understand what I'm going through, you have to remember and be patient with that. For things are difficult, and to understand something, it takes time and patience. I hope that you guys learn something from this. There's just a couple of moments that I wanted to spread. And thank you again for listening to the podcast. And remember, it's hard to be understood, it takes time, and don't shut people out. Thank you.